And when people are considering buying a certain product from you, they search it in Google. And if your website isn't there and if the answers aren't on your website, then that's going to make it very difficult for you to convert those people to your customers or your clients. What are the pros and cons of importing products into the country versus getting it manufactured here? Well, if you're getting it manufactured here, I'd say that's very good because local pride, and we need it for the economy. But truth be told, we don't have a lot of manufacturing companies here in the Philippines, and the reason behind that is the very expensive utility costs. We're one of the most expensive countries for electricity, and if you're a manufacturer, that's not going to go well for you because you need power, you need electricity, and you're going to use up a lot of it. So electricity being very expensive in our country, that just means we're not really a big manufacturing country, which we are not. So we don't get a lot of stuff manufactured here. On the other hand, we are very close to China. So a lot of companies here in our country actually import a lot of the goods. And Lazada and Shopee has actually paved the way for us to remove the middleman in the equation and go straight and buy from the manufacturing country, which is China. And that's why you see a lot of products in Lazada and Shopee. They're shipped from China or Hong Kong, and yeah, you can buy it straight and you can buy it cheaper if you know what you're doing. So the middlemen, which are some big companies here, I'm not gonna name those brands, but I know a lot of them. What they do is really they import a ton of those stuff. They call it MOQ, or minimum order quantity, for them to be able to get it at a very good price. They ship it via sea in a large container. They put it in their warehouse here. Then they sell it via distribution channels. Often it's through the malls like SM and, Philinvest malls, Ayala malls out there. And that helps them get rid of the inventory fast because malls have had a lot of foot traffic before. If you're someone who plans on starting a business of trading, manufacturing it here might not be a great option when you weigh in the very expensive electricity costs that we have. So importing might be the way to go, but then also Lazada and Shopee opening up and directly selling to people here in the country, to consumers here in the country, and just punching through the middlemen, I think it might be a tough business. That's what I think. But people who have established brands here, even if they're importing it from China and rebranding them here, I think that they still have a pretty solid foundation when the pandemic is done and they want to sell in the malls again. Next question. At the moment, the platforms that I am operating on are Facebook and Instagram. And I paused the production of my product since I want to further improve and optimize it. So basically, I'm back to R&D when I open the business. Should I build a website or should I stick to these platforms and build the website later on? I think this is I think if you're doing well on Facebook and Instagram, it's not a problem for you to continue on doing Facebook and Instagram. But I would always say that your website is super duper important, because Facebook could just snap its fingers and remove your Facebook page. And it happened to some people I know and to some clients that we have served. Thankfully, we were not doing the Facebook, but we were doing the website and SEO, and they lost their Facebook page just because of some guidelines that they crossed, or just because they were reported by some anonymous person and the reason was not even real. So they're losing and bleeding business just because Facebook suddenly decided to put down their Facebook page. And Instagram is owned by Facebook and operates in pretty much the same way. When they think they should suspend your page for a while, and that while could be like a day to a month, right? And you lose a lot of business and money during that time. Then you just can't do anything about it. This is why I say having a website is extremely critical, especially nowadays, because that website is controlled by you. Facebook and Instagram can't just snap its fingers and remove your website. Also, a lot of people are searching in Google when they're considering buying your stuff. They don't really search it on Facebook or Instagram. They search it on Google. Like, what's the price? Do you have competitors? What's their price? What's the difference between the both of you? We call that the consideration stage. And when people are considering buying a certain product from you, they search it in Google. And if your website isn't there, and if the answers aren't on your website, then that's going to make it very difficult for you to convert those people to your customers or your clients. They're probably going to get it from your competition. That's not going to be healthy for you. So yeah, definitely I'd say have your own website on top of the Facebook and Instagram that you have already. Have a single product and have already established a brand, yet I want to pivot and expand to a similar segment. Should I pursue it with my current brand, or would it be better to establish a different business or brand for that expansion? I would say if you've maximized the market for that single product that you have already established, then you may want to pivot and expand to a similar segment. If it's a similar segment, it must be a segment where you're comfortable with, where you are also quite known in. So it might be easier for you to expand. I'd say it's safer for you to expand that way. If it is a similar segment, definitely pursue it with your current brand. Don't use a different brand, because having so many brands under your wing, unless you have a very smart reason for splitting the brands off from each other, it's going to entail another huge investment for you. So it's going to be different ads, different big ideas, different campaigns, a different team. You should have a different team for different brands. It's going to double all of the expenses that you put in from your first brand. And if it's a similar segment, I don't see the reason why you should go for another brand. Just expand it using the same brand. I think that is the smart way to go. Question from Frio. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. I don't know how to pronounce this, but again, thank you so much for being here. My e-commerce business is a commodity selling replica products. That's a 6-figure profit. And I'm overthinking if I should switch to my own brand, like getting incorporated. I'd say 100%. I support you in switching your own brand. Having a very good, strong brand is the key to higher profit margins. And if you're a businessman, that means a lot to you, to your team, and to the economy. If you're making money, you're creating jobs. If you're creating jobs, you're creating spending power for the economy. You're helping money to move around. You're helping people's lives to be uplifted as well. So I'm all for getting your own brand. I'd encourage it 100%, but take it with a grain of salt. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you really do exactly. I'd love to talk with you on Clubhouse. If you're not there, the link is leadme.ph/club. You can join me there after the show and we could talk about it. I could give you my personal insights on the business, and we could talk about it there further. But with SEO Hacker, I made sure to have our brand. We spend a lot to make sure that our brand is remembered, it's consistent, it does what it's supposed to do, it does what it has promised to do, which is make sure that our clients get page 1 rankings and they get a lot of ROI. Because when people search for their product or service, they're on the first 3, 4, 5 spots in Google, which is really, really good. And that's how people got to know SEO Hacker. So people who are really looking for SEO companies here to serve them, a lot of them really approach me, and we do work for them. So that's what branding does. It helps you to generate more revenue. It also helps you define what your business is, what your unique selling proposition is, what separates you from competition, which I think is very, very important as a business owner and as a marketer. I'm a digital marketer, so branding is really important for me. So hope I answered that question. Oh, hey, and since you're here, can you do me a favor? Can you hit on the subscribe button and hit the bell button and select all notifications so that whenever we have a new video, you're going to be the first one to know. Until then, keep leading. When you get this realization that you have to go and do that and be the best you can be the best CEO you can be the best founder you can be, and focus on things that you're really good at, you're going to want to start to hire people to fill up that gap where you're weak at, that you have to quit in.